Okay, so I'm going to be talking about the differences between categorical data and numerical data. So, let's start with categorical. So, categorical data is what it sounds like. It's category-based data. And a lot of these categories are word responses. So an example of this would be asking what someone's hair color is and taking a survey on that. So you could get answers like brown, blonde, red. It's that kind of thing, like word responses. Another example of categorical data would be, let's see, what's your favorite book? Or taking a poll on who liked which book most in the Harry Potter series. So you could say, oh, this many liked Sorcerer's Stone, this many liked Chamber of Secrets. It's those kinds of responses, word-based responses. Numerical data, on the other hand, is also what it sounds like, number-based responses. Numbers. Numerical data, on the other hand, can be split into two subcategories, which are continuous data and discrete numerical data. The difference between these two are continuous, also like it sounds, is numbers that can go on past, let's say, 1 decimal point, or that just have repeating numbers. So like the height of someone could be, you could be 5 feet, you could be 5.25 feet, you could be 5.67843 feet. See how the numbers just can keep going. Another example of continuous data would be weight. You could be 150 pounds, 150.65 pounds, 150.1246. You get the idea. Discrete numerical data, on the other hand, is numbers that are finite and come to an end. So an example of that would be like shoe size. You can be a 7, you can be a 7.5 even, but you can't go into the shoe store and ask for a 7.83 shoe. That's just not how it works. Another example of discrete data would be like how many children are in your family. You can have 1, 2, 3, but you're not going to have a family with 4.65 children in the family. Like, doesn't matter if they're missing limbs, it's still a child. So those would be the two subcategories of numerical data. So those are the big differences between the two. Categorical is mostly word-based answers, word-based answers, as I said. Numerical is number-based answers. So that's the main difference between that. Okay, so I'm going to be talking about the different ways you can display this data. So let's start with categorical. Categorical. There are two main ways to display this type of data. I'll start with the pie chart, and I'll draw one too just for the effect. This is a good way to represent categorical data because it's just visually appealing, and it just like makes sense for this type of data. For example, this could be the blonde, this could be red hair, this could be brown. It's just we're all represented, and another way to display this type of data is a bar graph. In a similar way to pie graph, it is also visually easy to tell what's really going on in this distribution. This could be brown, red, and so on. So these are the two main types of ways to display categorical data, I'd say. Numerical data, on the other hand, has a little more than two ways to display it. Numerical. For numerical data, we can use, let's say, a histogram. Measuring like frequencies of each data point. We could also use a frequency table. You've got your data on this side and how much of it on this side. You can also use a stem and leaf plot. Which is good for representing data in a smaller range. You can even use, like, let's say male or female, and numbers are well represented on each side. We could also use a dot plot. Here's an example of that. And a scatter plot, of course. With your y and your x axis and all the points. So those are some of the ways you can display numerical data in contrast to categorical data. Now I'm going to go over a couple of examples that I found difficult differentiating between categorical and numerical data. So let's start with zip code. You can live at, let's say, 75025, 75029, 75093. These are just a couple of examples. Zip code is a tricky one because, yes, it is numbers, but they are categories because multiple people live in these zip codes. So if you're trying to group it into whether it's categorical or numerical, although it does have numbers, it is considered categorical data. Another, I guess, weird one like that would be birthday, because you can be born on the 17th, the 18th, the 21st, the 31st. Same way, they are also numbers, but they can be, they're groupings, they're categories. Same thing with birth year, 1998, 2000, 2005. They're also numbers, but they are categorical data. So those are just some of the tough examples I've seen. And I guess that's it. That's the main differences and comparisons between categorical data and numerical data. So I hope that was informative and good.